So hello everyone, I welcome you all to the Concept YouTube channel. So let's discuss today's topics. First topic is related with a new variant of coronavirus which has been identified in Nigeria, Africa. Second is related with crane case and Vodafone case, economy related topic. Farmer protest question can be framed in agriculture and economy section, and then this is a prelims related topic, and in the end I will give you the mains question. So this session is presented by me. My name is Saurabh Pandey. If you are preparing for UPSC examination or IS examination, you can join Unacademy. Many of batch courses have been launched and you can use this code SP Live and you can join these courses. You can also go for Unacademy agriculture optional. Again, this course is presented by me. There are many other optional courses available. You can join them. So for agriculture optional course, what you have to do is you have to take agriculture optional subscription. Use the code SP Live. The course is starting from January 5. This course is again presented by me. It will also open an avenue for IFS exam also. So to download the PDF of this session, visit Telegram channel SP Current Affairs to post your answer. You can post your answer in this Telegram channel, Daily Dose with S. Pandey. So let's start with the first topic. The first topic is new coronavirus variant found in Nigeria. This is the latest report. So we have to understand this, the meaning of the term variant. So when you talk about the variant in virus, it simply means like you can see this picture. This is spike protein and these are the structural protein which are present in these viruses. So these spike protein, in short we call it as S protein. These spike protein, they combine with the human cells and there is a receptor with name ACE2. So these spike protein combine with the ACE2 receptor and they carry out infection in human cells, or they penetrate in human cells. So if there is a basic change related with the spike protein or any of these structural protein which form the structure of the virus, then there is a possibility that different variants of a virus can be there. How these variants are created and why these variants are created, for the why we can say it is mainly because of the certain evolution which is taking place within the virus. And when you talk about these variants, some variants may be harmful and some may not be harmful. But if these variants somehow manipulate the genetic informations related with these S protein or any of the protein structures which is a part of this virus, somehow we can say the efficacy of the produced vaccine which are mRNA based, it can be impacted. For example, these mRNA based vaccine, they carry the informations related with these proteins. So once these information or genetic information is inserted by using the vector named as adenovirus is inserted in your body produces this protein, and against this protein your body produces antibodies, and in future if the virus with the similar protein enter in your body, as your body has the antibody, so the chances of infection is very less. So this is the basic thing. So if these variants somehow manipulate or changes these proteins into such an extent that the prevalent vaccines or the vaccines which have been developed by different companies are not have taken into consideration these changes, then the efficacy of these vaccines will be impacted. Next is about learning to let go. This is again a very important topic, and in this we have to discuss about the PCA, Permanent Court of Arbitration at Hague, which has given its ruling on Wednesday in favor of energy firm Crane PLC over a retrospective tax demand worth rupees 24,500 crore demanded by Indian government since 2014. So first we have to understand PCA and then we have to understand about the retrospective taxation. What is basically retrospective taxation? So when you talk about Permanent Court of Arbitration, it is an intergovernmental organization. Intergovernmental organization means different we can say many countries are part of this organization, and it is located in Hague. It is located in Hague, Netherlands. The basic service that it provides is related, it provides services of arbitral tribunal to resolve many disputes which arise out of international agreements. These international agreements can be related with maritime boundaries, sovereignty, human rights, international investment, international and regional trades. So any of the dispute arising out of these international agreements, for resolving the dispute, the services of these arbitral tribunals can be used. Also, if there is an international agreement between the countries, member states, or international organizations or the private parties, they can avail the facility of this arbitral tribunal. Second point, it is that it is not a court in traditional sense, because there is no permanent judge, or there are no permanent judges in this PCA. On case basis, judges are appointed, and then the decisions are taken and accepted by the parties. Next is about the retrospective taxation. Retrospective taxation simply means, like for example, if a law related with taxation is framed today, and it includes product, items or services from a time behind the date. So today the law is passed, but it includes product, item or services from a time behind the date. So we call it as a retrospective taxation. Considering the retrospective taxation done by the Indian government, the PCA has ruled that the tax levy pertaining to corporate reorganization exercise conducted by Crane Energy in 2006-7 means the decision or the reorganization done by the company is not wrong, but the tax levy by the Indian government is against the India-UK bilateral investment treaty. So it has imposed the penalty of $1.4 billion, which is again a very huge amount, because of the kind of damage suffered by this company, that is Crane Energy. So the damage that is suffered by this company is mainly related with the decisions taken by the tax authority to take by force and sell the company share, and many of the decisions that have been taken by the tax authorities, which has damaged the company's maybe the profitability and reputation and all. Second part is related with the Indian finance minister. So Indian finance minister has highlighted that it is within the sovereign right of Indian government to levy taxes, but at the same point of time, India also need to balance between tax terrorism. It should not be there that this regime of retrospective taxation somehow impact the international, or we can say the investment climate in India. So Indian government has to work accordingly, because Indian Prime Minister, he has promised to resolve concern on retrospective taxation. Few years back in 2012, Finance Minister Pranab Mukherjee, he has taken certain steps related with retrospective taxation, which again resulted into a case, Vodafone case, which we'll discuss in the next topic. So in case of Vodafone, let's discuss about this Vodafone thing. So India files appeal against Vodafone case verdict in Supreme Court, Singapore court. So to understand this, in May 2007, Vodafone had bought around 67% stake in Hutch for $11 billion. In September 2007, Indian government for the first time raised a demand of rupees 7,900 crore in capital gain, means the kind of asset acquired by the Vodafone in the Hutch. Because of this, capital tax have been imposed by the Indian authority. Against the step taken by the Indian government, Vodafone approached Bombay High Court. Bombay High Court has ruled it had ruled in favor of income tax department, Indian income tax department. So Vodafone approached the Supreme Court. Supreme Court ruled in favor of Vodafone and said that Vodafone Group's interpretation of Income Tax Act of 1961 is right, and the demand made by the Indian income tax authorities is actually wrong. So this resulted into this step of retrospective taxation policy made by the Indian government in 2012, and with the Finance Act certain changes have been made, and under these changes again the Vodafone was forced to or we can say Vodafone was asked to pay the tax retrospectively. Because of this, Vodafone approached Permanent Court of Arbitration, and this Permanent Court of Arbitration in its recent judgment, it said that the step taken by the Indian government is against the equitable treatment and fair and equitable treatment. It is also the violation of United Nations Commission on International Trade. So these are the points have been highlighted by the Vodafone and highlighted by the Permanent Court of Arbitration in Vodafone case, and it has imposed penalty on Indian side, and Indian government now India has challenged in Singapore court the International Arbitration Tribunal verdict that overturned its demand for rupees 22,100 crore in back taxes from Vodafone Group PLC. So this is the whole case that you have to remember. Next is about the 9B schools to compete in block finale. So block means business line of campus. Actually it partners with many of the B school. So we all are aware about that there is a big skill deficit between academic and requirement of corporate sectors or industries, because the kind of skill needed or required for the corporate sectors may be different from the skill imparted in academic, or we can say universities and all, the kind of skills imparted in academic areas, universities, colleges and all. So there is a need to develop an interface for both academic and corporate sectors where both can meet, and the requirement of corporate sector can be emphasized, or it can be told to the academic. So we need to develop an academic and corporate interface. So such steps have been taken by these business line on campus, and many of these challenges like boardroom challenges 2020. So these boardroom challenges 2020 in the first it took place in 2017, and in first year of challenge 2017 Liba Chennai were the winners, followed by SB Hyderabad in 2018, and in 2019 IIM Ranchi it won. So let's see who will win this year. Next topic is a very important topic related with the farmer protest, truth and false and half truth. So in this article, opinions of the protesters, governments and many points have been made. So we will try to understand different opinions being highlighted in this article, which can be the question can be framed, and the question can be asked in GS paper 3 in economy and agriculture section. So the first point is related with the MSP part. So it is said that farmers of Punjab and Haryana alone provide as much as 45% of the marketable surplus of wheat and rice, and the kind of policy that has been followed by Indian government since last 50 years has forced farmers from Punjab and Haryana to opt for rice and wheat, because assured income is provided to the farmers in with the help of these MSP minimum support price. Because if the farmers are growing rice and wheat every years in Punjab and Haryana, then a fixed amount is actually paid to the farmers, because they can sell their produce to the government in Food Corporation of India's or the established mandis. These crops can be, or the amount produced can be sold to the government godowns, or we can say government mandis and Food Corporation of India. So the kind of policy that we followed since Green Revolution has actually made the farmer to not look beyond the MSPs, the different avenues or the agriculture diversification which was required by the farmers, which was required actually to transform the agriculture and rural economy. It was not taken into consideration by the farmers because they were more compelled to utilize this assured income policy of MSP. So it is the case. Second is related with this idea of arhatiyas or the middleman. So there is opinion, because someone feel many of the opinions are there in we can say there are many opinions related to arhatiyas or the middleman. So for the farmers farmers in Punjab and Haryana, these arhatiyas plays a very important role. For example, weighing, grading, sorting of grains, and also they act as a fertilizers and pesticides. They also act as a fertilizer and pesticide agents. ठीक है, money lenders and general knowledge provider, okay, general knowledge provider. They act as a money lender, general knowledge provider. So for farmers in Punjab and Haryana, these arhatiyas are not valid. Second is related with APMCs. So these APMC mandis are established by APMC Agriculture Produce Marketing Committee Act. So these acts, APMC Act, through these acts, respective states, they create APMC mandis, and the farmers need to do their first sale in these APMC mandis. These APMC mandis, they charge certain transaction fee or cess, and the amount collected is used to build road and storage facilities. Next is related with the contract farming. Now in contract farming, what happens? It is said that the bigger farmers actually benefits more, because these small farmers, they have a very small area, small plot, less than 2 hectares. About 70-80% farmers are small and marginal. So the major benefits related with the contract farming is confined only to the large farmers, and there is a possibility that because of the contract farming, these small and marginal farmers can be exploited. Now, if you talk about the opinion given by the government in this article, government says that MSP has never been a law; it is a policy. So, why there is a demand for a separate law for this policy? Second is related with that if different communities, either you talk about different communities other than agriculture produce, if they follow the market principle, why can't agriculture produce follows the similar principles? Means they are guided by the market mechanism of demand and supply. Also the situation and circumstances today has actually totally transformed, and there is no case of food shortage. Presently there is no case of food shortage. Next is related with the contract farming. This contract farming, when you talk about the contract farming, as per the government, this contract farming will help the mass of small farmers by freeing them from tiny plots. There is a possibility that many of these small farmers, they can come together, they can practice cooperative farming, and this will help them to earn a good source of livelihood. Next point is related with the subsidy part. If you talk about the subsidies, so it is said that around 2 to 2.5% of the GDP, around this much amount is paid as a subsidy, which is equivalent to, we can talk about around $45 to 50 billion, $45 to 50 billion. This much amount of subsidies provided to Indian farmers, which is far higher in comparison to USA and European Union. In USA it is around $20 billion, and in European Union it is around $40 billion. But although this this subsidy looks very high, but when you talk about the per farmer subsidy means the farmers and the kind of subsidy that is provided. If you divide that, so per farmer subsidy is far less. In case of India, it is only $48. In case of USA, it is around $7,000. So in case of USA, it is a huge amount, and in case of India, it is a very less amount. So India can carry on with this idea of subsidy. This has been highlighted. Second is about if the farmers keep on producing wheat and rice. Now take the case of rice. Rice is a water thirsty crop, rain thirsty crop. If there is no rainfall, then the farmer will they start exploiting the groundwater, and this will result into ecological crisis. To avoid the ecological crisis, it is required that the things are taking place, or we can say we carry out a sustainable farming or agriculture in which people, planet and profits are balanced. Then only the profitability of the farmers and the need and requirement of the country can be met. So let's see the question in the end. In order to attract investment, India need to avoid tax terrorism. Explain this statement in the context of recent judgment given by PCI in Crane Energy case. You have to write and send your answer to Telegram channel Daily Dose with S. Pandey. I request you all, please like it and do subscribe the channel. Thank you everyone, and let's crack it.